Hey everybody, this is Parita, your insurance friend, and I wanted to wish you all a happy open enrollment. It's that time of year and it sure got here fast. Holidays are right around the corner and I know the last thing on your mind is insurance, but I wanted to make this video to really be transparent on the options that you have and to share kind of what I'm seeing in regards to the direction of health insurance for us this year. Growing up, we're not really taught a lot about some pretty significant things. We learn algebra, we learn calculus, things that we absolutely don't use day to day, and are taught very little about things like taxes or insurance, yet we have to pay for it every single year. And most of the insurance is not really getting any better year over year. And you've probably heard me say it before, but all insurance sucks. We've just got to pick the one that sucks the least, right? And I've seen improvements in private plans, and I've seen things get worse in Obamacare plans. But here's what makes the most sense. We just have to make do with the options that we have. Some plans cover A, B, and C. Some plans cover X, Y, and Z. The plan that does it all will cost you an arm and a leg. Trust me, I've seen it, but at the end of the day, it's better to have peace of mind and have insurance and not end up needing it versus needing it and not end up having something you can count on, right? So here's the situation. ACA, Obamacare plans, they're going up in price. Okay, I've heard anywhere from 20% to 53% depending on the state. They're also increasing the maximum out of pocket, and they are reducing the number of people who qualify for subsidies. So they used to give more subsidies just over the last couple of years, and that's because of COVID-19. They were trying to make things a little bit more affordable for everybody, given what was going on with the pandemic. But now that things have really calmed down in that area, they're kind of going in reverse and making up for lost ground, if you will. And what I'm seeing now is those prices are going to be in a much higher range than people are used to. But what is really great about an ACA plan? Why would somebody actually want one of those plans? Well, obviously, if you have major pre-existing conditions, then you can't qualify for something better. Or if you are low income, and then the government gives you a bunch of discounts to make those plans actually affordable. Other than that, the one great thing about an ACA plan is that it covers your preventative at 100%, no questions asked. So whether you are a newborn or you're an adult, your preventative, your wellness, what they define as wellness is all going to be covered completely. Now, what's not good about those ACA plans? Well, they virtually cover nothing else until you meet your deductible and your maximum out of pocket. So whether it's a specialist visit, a mental health visit, the emergency room, any kind of surgeries, they are literally going to have you pay full price for everything until you meet that deductible. So the plans also only cover you in your zip code. So if you are someone that travels for work, keep in mind that your insurance won't come with you wherever you go on an ACA plan. But they'll say they'll cover emergencies, but you want to keep in mind that they also are the ones that define what an emergency is. If I break my leg, for example, to me, that's a pretty big emergency, but to them, I'm not dying, so it's not, and they're going to charge me out-of-network prices, right? So, quick note about emergencies and the emergency room. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I've seen, I know quite a few in the family. And the most common message that they are giving to me is that they see people at the ER that should absolutely not be at the ER. And I support the statement because I know that the ER is for emergencies. So, if you've had pain for about a month or some weird thing going on for a little bit of time, my family, my doctor friends, they're all recommending you do not go to the ER to figure it out, because if it's lasted that long, it's probably not one of those dire emergencies and something you could probably see a primary care provider for or a specialist for. But why do you think ER bills are so expensive? They're really trying to deter people from going there and use other resources first, such as telemedicine, urgent care. And from what my little brother told me, they never have enough manpower at the ER anyways, because so many people are really coming in that end up taking valuable time away from true emergencies, and they could have gotten that care maybe someplace else. Now, on the flip side, if you aren't sure whether or not what you're going through is an emergency or not, then don't be scared to go either. My sister had to go to the emergency room earlier this year, and, she's a doctor, and we were raised in a household where if you don't feel like you're dying, you don't need to see a doctor. So I didn't even have health insurance most of my life that I can remember. But, at the same time, she had symptoms that were scary enough that she did end up going to the emergency room to look for what her treatment should be. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so we talked about ACA plans. What about employer plans, right? An employer plan is amazing for the employee. Add the rest of your family on there and it's going to be significantly more expensive. And that's because obviously your employer is going to want to provide benefits to you, right? Because you're their employee, but they don't necessarily, intend to cover the rest of the family as well. So a lot of people think employer plans are like super affordable, but I've had families paying over $2,000 a month for 4 people. And that, my friends, is a mortgage. So you should really not be spending that kind of money on your health insurance. There are definitely alternatives to save you some money. Now, sometimes the coverage is really, really amazing, and I totally get that. But let's say that you are losing your employer plan and they offer you COBRA. COBRA is simply an extension of your current plan, but now you're paying full price for it. So I had a client tell me once that her and her daughter alone, the COBRA was over $1,000 a month. So, keep those things in mind, but, that brings me to private insurance. So look, there are plenty of things that I'm not a huge fan of about private plans. Overall, for the point of what insurance is even for, which is the big scary stuff, I do think that they provide more benefits than the other options I've listed above. So unless you have a very reasonably priced, amazing employer plan, private does give you nationwide coverage. It's a PPO plan, or they are PPO plans, and it works across all 50 states. You can see doctors if you're visiting family in one city, or if you're going, living in another state. You don't have to worry about not having access to your providers. And so I have clients that are in all 50 states that are on similar plans, and you don't need a referral to see a specialist or anything like that. And they really are truly much more affordable than the things I've mentioned above. So I had a family of 4, and on, the best plan that they had, they were paying like $2,000 for like a gold level plan. We were able to get that down to $1,200 a month. And, that's a lot of money to save. You're saving almost $10,000 a year. Now, private plans, there are non-covered items, right? And, they finally added flu shots to some of the plans, which is great because they didn't have them before. But I know that they don't do a great job of most vaccines. That's just the truth. It's not my favorite plan for newborns because of that reason. But when it comes to insurance, you got to make it work for you, right? So if you know the facilities to go to, if you know where you can get the best pricing, go there, save your money. And so what else can I tell you? Now they don't cover maternity either, okay? And I know that. And if they did cover maternity, then of course they would be, charging a lot more money, right? Because that's also things that are non-covered are because not everybody necessarily needs those parts of the plan, right? So that's important thing to consider. Now, I know that they also don't cover things like IUDs. And not a lot of people need IUDs. Some people are doing standard birth control, but even that is something barely anybody's doing these days. But you can go to the right facility and probably get that for free or very, very discounted, right? I know that private plans don't do a great job of covering mental health therapy, but like I said, there are no plans that do. You'll have telemedicine on some private plans, so you can take advantage of that. I pay full price for my therapist because she doesn't take insurance anyway. So, now, if you go to a doctor or a therapist or specialist that does accept insurance and accepts your insurance, then you're still going to get in-network repricing, even though there's no specific benefits. So you might get like $40, $50 off, which is still better than nothing, right? So, if I was to conclude everything that I just said, really it comes down to one thing. You have to make the system work for you. Let's be honest, it's a broken system. We don't have universal health care. We could all move to England and get that, but then you're also giving half of your paycheck away every year to taxes. So I don't know, what's the lesser of two evils, right? If you're not somebody who's going to the doctor left or right, and you're really just needing to see a specialist maybe every now and then, getting your wellness done, you need good insurance that you can count on for the things that aren't a part of your plan, that you don't expect to happen. Nobody plans to be in the hospital. Nobody wants to be there. But if it does happen, you better have some good insurance that you can count on, right? So that's pretty much the whole thing. And, I'm here for you always to navigate through all these options. I hope that this was helpful for you to understand, what are some of the things that are available and, what is open enrollment going to look like this year. So stay tuned. If you are one of my clients, I'm here for you always. You can always text me if you need me for anything. You don't have to take any action about renewing your plan. It automatically renews. If you are not yet one of my clients, reach out to me, book an appointment. I'll be happy to help you out.